Hi everyone, this is a quick video from me, John Corbett, or as a lot of people know me, Corbettmaths, with some advice on how to prepare for your upcoming GCSE Maths exams. So if you're preparing for your upcoming GCSE Maths exams in summer 2026, the date of your first GCSE Maths exam paper is May the 14th. So May the 14th, 2026 is the date of that first GCSE Maths exam paper for AQA, EdXL, OCR, and if you're sitting M1 to M4 for CA, that's the day of that first exam as well. So there's about 170 days to go into that first paper. And now is the perfect time to think how you can prepare between now and then to make sure you get a fantastic grade in your GCSE Maths exams. So the first bit of advice I would give you is to make your lesson time count. There's a lot of lessons between now and May the 14th. So first of all, try and make sure you're there. So try and make sure your attendance is as high as possible. If you're away for any reason, such as illness, or if you've got a sports fixture, or if you're doing a show or something like that, make sure you catch up on the material that you've missed. So speak to a friend, find out what you covered, get some notes. Even better, go and speak to your teacher and say, well, I'm going to be out, maybe even speak to them before the lesson and say, I'm going to be missing my next lesson. Can you please let me know what we're going to do? And perhaps, can I get a copy of the notes or the homework and things like that? So be proactive in terms of catching up on what you've missed, or if you know you're going to be going away, speak to the teacher in advance and find out what they're going to be doing. So first of all is make your lesson time count. So make sure you're there, make sure you're working as hard as you can to avoid any distractions. If you've got any friends that sort of distract you, try and stay away from them in your maths lessons and try and stay focused and work as hard as you can, because all that work that you put in now in your lesson times will definitely pay off whenever it comes to doing your GCSE Maths exam. Okay, now the second bit of advice that I'd give, and it's kind of linked to the first one, is make sure that you put the effort into your homework as well. So I'm sure that your teacher's going to be giving you lots of maths homework between now and May the 14th. So first of all, make sure you're doing it, but make sure you're doing it to the best of your ability. Don't just copy answers out of a textbook or go onto AI and look for the answers to it. Actually, make sure you're doing the homework to the best of your ability. Make sure you understand it, because you're not going to be able to just Google the answers in the exam. So it's important that you understand each homework and what's been asked of you, and you know how to do it. And if you're not sure on how to do it, go to Corbettmaths and watch the video tutorial on the topic. That might help you, or speak to a friend or even a family member, or even ask the teacher to go through the homework in class. And I'm sure the teacher will be more than happy to go through any particular questions in class as well. So they're the first two bits of advice that I give, and they're kind of common sense. Work hard in lessons and also try hard with your homework. But it's just important that you've got a lot of time between now and the exam, so all that effort in class and with homeworks will definitely pay off. Okay, next, mocks. You may have mocks. Obviously, it's now coming towards the end of November, so you may have mocks in December or January. And if you've got upcoming mocks, try and put an effort into those mocks. So try and work hard in terms of your lesson times and classwork and things like that. But also make sure that you're revising for your mocks, and perhaps ask your teacher, they can give you a list of the topics that are coming up on the mocks. So maybe the mock paper is an actual GCSE Maths exam paper. And in that case, if you go to Corbettmaths and go to the revision checklists, the revision checklist will give you a list of all the topics that could come up on that mock, or I'll put a link in the description below as well. But it may be that your mock is on certain topics, so the topics that you've covered in years 10 and 11 if you're in England or Wales, or years 11 and 12 if you're in Northern Ireland. And it may be that that mock is on topics that you've covered. So ask your teacher for a list of the topics that may appear in the mocks, so you can go through and revise them. And do revise them. Put the effort in for your mocks, because if you put the effort into your mocks now, then whenever you get the results from your mocks, they'll be accurate in terms of where you're currently at. But also, whenever you're going through your mock papers, you'll be able to identify the topics that you're confident with and you're getting right, or the topics you're not getting right and you're less confident with, and that'll be really useful. So put the effort into revising for your mocks. So don't just do the mocks and go in unprepared. Put the effort in for your mocks, and then that means that whenever you get your results back, and also the marks for each individual question and topics, you'll be able to identify what are your strengths, and most importantly, what are your weaknesses. Okay, so put the effort in for your mocks. Find out when they are, find out where they are. Make sure you know the topics that are coming up on the mocks. Maybe ask your teacher if they can give you some practice papers to help you prepare for the mocks as well. But as I says, make sure that you put the effort in for any upcoming mocks. Perhaps they may be in December, January, or February. Put the effort in for those mock papers. Okay, next, preparation. Now is a great time to do some of the preparation for your GCSE Maths exams. So first of all, make sure you've got the right equipment in terms of make sure you've got your scientific calculators for your lessons. I say calculators because it may be that you have a particular favorite model. I've got this one, but there's also another one that I really like. And if I was doing the GCSE Maths exam paper, I'd probably bring both calculators in with me. But make sure you've got your calculator, your scientific calculator, and you're bringing that to every lesson so that you're getting used to what the calculator can do. And you can work out, for instance, if you've got a calculator like this, how to find the product of primes on this calculator, how to do tables of values, so how to do those XY tables on a calculator like this, how to be able to work out different powers and things like that. So having your scientific calculator to all your lessons will be really useful, because as I said, you want to make your lesson time count. So having the calculator with you to all of those lessons will mean that you're getting used to it. And whenever you come to the exam and you may need to use your calculator to do a table of values, you'll be confident in how to do that. So prepare by making sure you've got the right equipment. So maybe the calculator, it may be making sure you've got the right type of protractor. For instance, you may have a 180-degree protractor. You might have a 360-degree protractor. I actually like both. I like using these a lot for bearings questions, actually. So it might be that you want to invest in both of these now so that you've got them for your lesson times, and then you can make an informed decision in terms of which one you might want to use for different topics. Also, a little one is, it might seem common sense, but also make sure you've got your rulers. And in terms of your rulers, I was using this one a lot. And then I realized that actually I couldn't see underneath the ruler because it's obviously metal and you can't see through it. So then I realized that's not the ruler that I would want to use in an exam. So then I made sure that I had a see-through ruler so I could use that one. So making sure you've got the right calculator, making sure you've got the right protractor, making sure you've got the right ruler. Also, another one that I find quite useful as well is making sure you've got the right compass. I've got a particular favorite compass and I like using this one. It's quite stiff and it doesn't sort of wobble whenever you draw the circles. So making sure you've got the right compass or a pair of compasses. So whenever you're in the exam, you know that one's going to be the perfect one for you. But also you know how to tighten it as well. But make sure you've got the right equipment. So prepare by having the right equipment. That's one bit of preparation. Also, now's a good time to prepare in terms of having the revision checklists. If you go to Corbettmaths or in the description below, I'll put a link to the revision checklist. And those revision checklists will have a list of all the topics that compare in the GCSE Maths exam. They'll also have video tutorials in each of them. So if you click on each of them, it'll bring you straight to the video tutorial on Corbettmaths as well. And we'll have the video numbers. So those revision checklists are really useful to have now so that whenever you're looking at it, you go through your mock and you can ask your teacher, we haven't done this topic yet. When are we going to be doing this one? So that you know what topics can appear in your GCSE Maths exam and you can go through and use those revision checklists to make sure that you've covered them all. Another important aspect of your preparation is to think about how do you revise? So how do you prefer revising? Some students will ask me in the months leading up to the exams, perhaps in March or April, how do I revise for my GCSE Maths? And now is actually a good time to consider how do you prefer revising for your GCSE Maths exam? So, for instance, do you like going to the local library to do your revision? Do you prefer revising at home? Are there lots of distractions at home? Can you revise in school? I used to like going to the local library and revising there. I used to find that used to work really well for me. So think about how you revise in terms of your location. Also, how do you revise your GCSE Maths? Some people like going through their notes and things like that. I prefer doing past papers. I like doing questions on particular topics. I'll also come back to that in terms of targeting less confident topics in a moment. So think about now, how do you prefer revising for your GCSE Maths? And obviously with mocks coming up, that's a good time to practice. So practice for your mocks by going to the library and revising there. I think, is this a good place to revise? So whenever I come to revising in March and April and so on, is this the place that I'm going to come and do my revision for my GCSE Maths exams? And think about that now. The next thing that I'd recommend is targeting your less confident topics. If you've always found adding fractions, for example, hard, well, it's going to come up on the GCSE Maths exam, I would like to think, with 3 GCSE Maths papers. If you're doing AQA, EdXL, or OCR, there's 3 papers, and you're probably going to have to do some sort of adding with fractions on one of those 3 papers. It's a good idea if you know you've got a particular topic that you're less confident with and you think, I've always found simplifying fractions hard, I've always found Pythagoras' theorem hard, I've always found trigonometry hard. Well, now would be the perfect time to actually do something about it. So if, for instance, you've always found Pythagoras' theorem hard, well, watch the Corbettmaths video on Pythagoras' theorem. Speak to your teacher and ask them if they can do a revision session or to go through Pythagoras' theorem with you now, rather than leaving it until March and April next year, where you may actually have quite a few different topics you might want to work on. Take some of those topics that you're less confident on and do something about it now. And with 170 days to go, that'll be fantastic. So you can target those topics that you're less confident with now. And then whenever it comes to springtime, you can actually do more general revision and you think, well, actually, I can do Pythagoras' theorem. I'm okay with that now. And that'll actually impact your confidence as well. So you're not dreading that question on Pythagoras' theorem. You're thinking, I can do it. So I would say focus on your less confident topics now. So watch the Corbettmaths video tutorials on it. Go to the Corbettmaths website and get the practice questions and do the practice questions on Pythagoras' theorem. If you've got the revision cards, get the revision card on Pythagoras' theorem. Make sure you learn it. Get a family member to quiz you on the revision card of Pythagoras' theorem. Even stick it to your wall so you've got that revision card on your wall. So whenever you wake up in the morning, the first thing you see is Pythagoras' theorem. But do something about those less confident topics now. So prepare early. Go through those less confident topics because they're not going to go away. There probably will be a question on Pythagoras' theorem, so do something about it now so then you're more confident with it. Okay, so target those less confident topics now. So as I mentioned, there's about 170 days to go until that first GCSE Maths exam paper. Well, one thing I would highly recommend to you is the 100 days to go revision sessions. So rather than cramming your revision right at the very end, so perhaps in April, doing loads of revision then, what I've done is I prepared the 100 days to go revision sessions. So they are 100 revision sessions starting, I believe, around about the start of February, all the way up to the day before the first GCSE Maths exam paper. And I do 100 revision sessions for GCSE Higher Maths and 100 revision sessions for GCSE Foundation Maths. And in those revision sessions, I go through lots of key topics. So there will be one on Pythagoras' theorem. And what's great is if it's a weakness and you've done something about it, there'll be recap whenever you come back to it then. But I do go through lots of topics. There'll also be more general revision sessions as well, such as which equipment you should use for your GCSE Maths exam papers. There'll also be revision sessions on how to revise, how to approach that final night before the GCSE Maths exam. Also, in terms of there'll be practice papers and questions to do as well. So those 100 days to go revision sessions will be really, really useful for you. And they're for GCSE Higher and GCSE Foundation Maths. They begin at the start of February, so keep an eye out for those, and I'll do reminder videos as we approach that time as well. And also, if you want to prepare for them, if you go to Corbettmaths, there's also the books. You can buy the accompanying books, and they have each of the revision sessions in here, so then you can scan the QR code, be brought to that revision session, and you can do the questions that are in the video on the book. So that'll be really useful for you as well. So there's 100 days to go revision session, be really, really useful. Also, I'd say another approach for your GCSE Maths revision is a little and often approach. Rather than cramming, and that's what I mentioned in the 100 days to go revision sessions, those 100 revision sessions would be really useful rather than just cramming. But another really useful technique is the 5-a-days, and that little and often in terms of 5 minutes every single day in your GCSE Maths, that'd be really useful for you. So the 5-a-days are on the Corbettmaths website. There's 5 different levels of difficulty. If you're preparing for GCSE Foundation Maths, you might want to focus on the numeracy, foundation, and foundation plus 5-a-days. And at this stage, if you've got 170 days to go into your GCSE Maths exam paper, you might want to be doing 2 of those. You might want to be working on the numeracy and the foundation at the minute. As you get closer to the exam, definitely the foundation and foundation plus. If you're preparing for GCSE Higher Maths, I would recommend the foundation plus, because it has a lot of the questions at the beginning of the GCSE Higher paper. Also the Higher 5-a-days and the Higher plus 5-a-days. So those 5-a-days will be really, really useful for you. And I'll put a link to them in the description below. Also, they're available in book format. So if you wanted to and you're preparing for GCSE Foundation, you could get the numeracy 5-a-day books or the foundation one. This one will be really useful for you. And also the foundation plus 5-a-day book. So those books will be really useful for you if you're preparing for a GCSE Foundation Maths. And as I said, there's 5 questions for every single day of the year. Each book has 6 months of questions. So the first book, book 1, covers from January until June. And book 2 covers from July until December. And those 5-a-days will be really useful because you regularly come back to topics. So that means that you're going to remember how to do them. So you'll retain that information. So those 5-a-days will be really useful for you. If you're preparing for GCSE Higher Maths, I'd recommend the Foundation Plus 5-a-day book, as well as the Higher 5-a-day book and even the Higher Plus 5-a-day book. So those 5-a-day books will be really useful for you. They're also available in PDF format on the website as well. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend those 5-a-days. And that's a really useful thing in terms of boosting your confidence, because you're going to be doing 5 questions every single day for the next 170 days. That's a question. How many questions would there be altogether? But you'll also regularly revisit topics. So if, for instance, there's a question on trigonometry that you need help on, you can check the answers, see if you got it right. And if you didn't, you can then watch the video tutorial on Corbettmaths on trigonometry. And then in about a week later, as you're going through those 5-a-days, you may encounter another trigonometry question, and then you'll get it right that time. And then your confidence will increase because you'll be then getting more and more of the 5-a-day questions right. And then hopefully you're going to get a fantastic grade in your GCSE Maths exam. And then finally, the last thing I would say is believe you can do this. You're actually doing the first important thing, which is actually watching this video now, because that obviously shows that you care about your GCSE Maths and you're willing to put the work in. So well done on watching this video. And hopefully the video tutorials on Corbettmaths will help you. Working hard on your lessons and with your homework, that's going to really help you. Going through and preparing for your mock exams and finding out which are your topics that you're really confident with, and most importantly, which topics do you need some extra help on, and then that'll be really useful for you as well. Going through your preparation, so preparing the equipment that you want to use, thinking about how you're going to revise, where you're going to revise, even printing past papers, So preparing will be really useful for you. Targeting those less confident topics now, so rather than leaving it until later, doing something about those less confident topics right now. The 100 days to go revision sessions, they're going to be really, really useful for you, and you'll hopefully find those really beneficial. Over the last couple of years, students have really found those have been fantastic in terms of boosting their confidence. The 5 a days, a fantastic resource in terms of that little and often approach. And then, as I said, believe in yourself. You can do this. I believe you can do it. With 170 days to go, if you put in the work, you're going to do really well. And even by watching this video, you're showing that you're dedicated to getting a great grade in your maths. So thank you very much. I really hope that I'm going to be able to support you with your GCSE Maths revision, and all the best. Cheers. Bye.